What's up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Plant Movement Podcast. My name is Willie Rodriguez, and today we're accompanied by a super special guest. We have Rosey Anthony from Plant Me Rosey here in the house.
Whoop, whoop.
Thank you so much for coming. It's an honor to have someone that is involved as deep as you are into our world of the plant industry here sitting with us today.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
So how's everything been? Everything's good?
Everything's great. Everything's great. Thank God. Just moving and shaking and moving and in this industry, this beautiful industry that I am so lucky to be a part of.
Thank you. Yes, it's an amazing industry. I love it as well. Born and raised in it, and yeah, here to keep pushing and innovating and keep growing and giving content to you guys so you guys can keep learning and keep going. You bring so much to the table, which is what caught my eye from everything. Just jumping on your IG page and looking at everything you do and listening to all the stuff you do. And you caught my attention big time, and you were involved in so many things. So I wanted to just dive right in, and I want you to share your story with how you started in the industry, how you got in, all the things that you're involved in, how you got involved into all these different things, how you're giving back to the community. I just want to run through and let people hear this motivational story. This is a powerful woman in the industry. So
Thanks, Willie. So I've been in the industry for a long time. Like yourself, I've been around plants all my life. I grew up here in Homestead in the Redlands on a farm.
Okay.
And so I've always been around plants, so I know the business and I know how it works.
Okay.
You know, I know what they need to survive, to
Of
take
course.
care of them. When I fast forward into adulthood, I worked for a very large grower for many years, doing product development, sales, marketing. Fast forward
a little bit of everything. So you
a little
learned
bit
a
of
lot
everything. That's where I really learned the inner workings of the business, how like pricing works, how, retail works, and the big boxes, the IGCs, that world. And marketing
and producing things,
producing things, developing things from conception to execution. So from the very beginning, from when it's just an idea, a brainstorm, following it through
Like
production.
what? Give
to
us
the
some
store.
explanation. What are some of the things that you would work on there?
So I was responsible for designing and developing a lot of the pottery that this
Okay.
large grower sells to the big box stores.
Okay.
So I would work with our China team. So I worked
Okay.
with the overseas team. I'd come up with the look, right? The trend, the feel, the look, the color.
Mm-hmm.
I'd draw it out, send it overseas, and they'd bring it into a 3D version of it.
Okay.
So then fast
So you
forward,
would do the rough draft.
I do rough
basically.
draft.
Okay.
I do rough draft, and then I follow the project all the way through.
Okay.
Sampling the what we call the handmade pottery, and then the final production sample, and then 4 months later the pottery arrives, and then it's in stores. So
Awesome.
that's when
That's
I say conception to
No,
execution.
but that's amazing because you learn so much. And,
Oh, yeah.
You're like, let's say that wasn't exactly what you were gonna end up doing with your life, but it's crazy how we go through life and we learn things throughout our career that get us set up for the future.
And sometimes we don't understand, and we're like, why am I doing this? Like a P&L, a profit and loss.
Yes.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
I remember I had my boss, and he would just like beat it into me that I had to learn this. And I'm really grateful for him. He taught me a lot. He ran the office overseas, and he knows who he is if he's watching
Yeah.
this. And now, fast forward, I implement that into my business.
Of course, you
So
learned
like
it.
learning, development, learning what we call the cost calculator. Like you input all the numbers, all the ingredients to get, that final product. And this is, how you have your markup, your retail costs, all of that. And it's because of him. So, and back to the P&L, I have to run that now for my own business.
Of course.
And I had no idea, before he insisted I learn this, how to run that.
And you didn't have your business back then.
And I didn't. So everything that I've learned back then, it all comes full circle in life. And then you have your aha moment that you're like, I had to learn that for this moment now.
Yeah. That's how it works.
Yep.
So then you worked there, and then what happened?
So then I took a hiatus in between. So I was there for about a decade.
Okay.
Yeah, about almost 10 years.
So you learned a lot.
So I
10
learned
years.
a lot, and I'm naturally a very intuitive person. I'm that kid that's always like, why?
Why?
Well, why?
I wanna
Well,
learn.
why does
Yeah.
this work?
Tell
And
me.
people get annoyed, and they're like, why? And why that, But I have to understand something really well, the mechanicals, to be able to
come through. You know, you
come
want to do it
through,
right.
to be
Yeah.
creative, to be innovative, I have to understand the inner workings of everything. So I took a hiatus in between, that time, and I went to work for the flower industry for a year.
Okay.
A friend reached out.
Like cutting flower?
Cut flowers.
Like roses and sunflowers?
Anything cut flowers.
Okay.
So a friend reached out, and she was like, I'm starting this business. I want you to, come jump on board or whatever. I thought about it for a while.
You were still working there?
I'm still at this big
still
grower.
At the other place. Okay.
And I'm back and forth. But I had come to a point in my life that I was like, I want to try something new. I'm always eager to learn something, anything, more.
So you were up to go jump in with her and start doing something.
Super startup. So I took a leap of faith and I said, let's do it, because I believed in her very much.
This was with cut flowers.
This was with cut flowers.
Okay.
She was a mentor. She was in fact my boss at this grower
for
many years, and then she leaves
to
start her own thing.
Okay.
So I go with her
to help her out.
I learned so much about this industry, completely different, right? The flower industry and the plant industry, two different industries.
Worlds.
You may recognize them as the same, but they do
completely
business
different.
completely different. So I went to I loved it, but I realized in that year that my true passion is plants.
Yeah.
Like, I love flowers. They're beautiful. They're beautiful to look at, but plants is it for me. So in it, I decided, you know what? I'm going to start my own business. So I started a little plant shop, actually right down the street here. I have my little plant shop.
This was while you were working?
So I leave the plant,
so at this
leave
point
the
you
flowers.
had left. The flowers, and you were still working at this big chain place as well, this big nursery?
I leave the nursery.
So you left it all?
I go work for the flower industry for 1 year. I realize I want to start my own business.
Okay.
So I opened my little plant shop slash shave ice bar. So
a plant shop
with a shave ice bar.
And what was this? This was a store or like a trailer that you had
This was
converted?
an actual 20 by 20 foot trailer, a shipping trailer that was converted into our little plant shop.
And it was, what, you had it shipped over there? Or was it an actual trailer on wheels?
It was sitting on a farm, someone else's farm.
Okay.
And he had a strip of these shipping containers. And I said, you know what? I think I could open a plant shop in here. So I approached the guy. He thought I was crazy as ever. Like, who does that? But I just approached him, knocked on his door, and I was like, can you rent that shipping container to me? And it took some convincing. I had to, not a business plan, but I had to show up with a vision board. And I did. And I'm like, this is, what I want. And then I had to convince him to let me paint it certain colors and stuff, because he was very, old school, set on his ways. But I did. And so we had the plant shop, and then
where was this at?
This was right here, actually right
in the Redlands, right here,
right on this street, just across Chrome.
That's crazy.
That's just it. So I'm actually very close. That was so funny, and we've never met.
Yeah, I've never met her before, and we're from the same neighborhood, which is hilarious.
Isn't that crazy? So anyways, so the plant shop was up and running, and I remember a hurricane came by right before the pandemic, and I can't remember that hurricane, but it really messed up this little shipping container shop of ours. So then the pandemic slowly, they start closing down the shops, right? Stores are closing, businesses are closing. We had to close down. And so in between all that and everything else going on in the world, I decided we weren't going to reopen this plant shop. I was going to restructure myself and what I wanted. And so I get approached by this big grower again that I worked for many years, asking me to come back. And I was like, no.
They missed you.
They would send people over to my shop to talk to me, to go work for them. And I was like, that's back there. I've moved on. And I was in between, closing the shop or whatever. So I said, let's give it a try. Let's go back and give it a try. I never go back. I never go back because I believe, life is too short for reruns.
You don't look back.
Pa'lante. So I go back, and I was there for not very long at all. And
so
then
you went back?
I went back for a few months, and then the pandemic started showing, its ugly head or whatever, and then they sent us all home. Okay. And then people were talking about, the layoffs or whatever. Oof. And for whatever reason,
this was 2019 at the end? When
was it? April. I believe I got laid off in April.
April, so in 2020.
2020.
Okay.
So I remember the night before, I'm talking to my husband, and he's like, you're not going to get laid off. You're going to be fine. I'm very intuitive. That's something I've always been. I'm very intuitive. And I was like,
sense.
I have a real keen sense, and I'm a mother. And I'm like, I'm on that layoff list. I know it. And he's like, don't say that. Don't manifest that. I'm like, I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it. You know,
Everything
because
happens for a reason.
everything happens for a reason. So sure enough, the boss calls me and he's like, I'm laying you off. I'm like, okay, well, thank you. I get it. You know, I provide a service. I'm marketing. We're going to be one of the first to go.
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, sales is really who brings in the money.
Mm-hmm.
So, I knew it. And I was okay with it. And then that's okay because that's how Plant Me Rosey started. Everything else I said earlier. And that's kind of the way it went. So for me, it was like I trusted life. I knew I wasn't starting over with nothing.
Yeah.
You know, I had a lot of experience in the industry. And so...
And you knew people as well, and that's just to show you guys, like, you never know. You can't be scared. If something negative approaches you, you have to find the positive in it, and you have to just be ready for whatever comes, because you don't know what's next for your journey, right?
You don't know what's on the other side.
And if you feel, you dive in this black hole, right, where you feel sad and negative and all that type of stuff, it gets you depressed, right? You can't be depressed. You gotta be like, okay, so this door closed. All right, let's go. What's next? And let's open the next door and keep going.
So I was like, I can't mope around. I gotta keep going. My children are looking at me. I have to be an example for them. So I was like, I'm good. I know. I don't know what the future holds, but I know it's coming, and I know it's super exciting. Whatever it is.
Yeah, for sure.
I just had that feeling.
So you started Plant Me Rosey, and what was Plant Me Rosey at that time?
So Plant Me Rosey was just an Instagram account, recording myself. Gardening, teaching my boys how to plant and propagate.
This was for your children. This was something fun for your kids.
Just fun for my kids, and then just started recording it.
It wasn't to start a business out of it. It was just to have fun. That's what it was.
That's what it was.
Uh-huh.
So it's just to keep myself busy and keep them busy. Mm-hmm. And then people started asking for more videos. People would reach out and say, you're inspiring me. The way you do it, it's so easy.
Got traction.
I think I was a real person, so it was relatable.
It was relatable.
And, it wasn't all this facade, fancy stuff.
And your kids were coming out in it too.
My kids would come out and they'd be there getting their hands dirty with me. So I started to realize I'm doing something with purpose, and that's all I want to do with my life. I want to live my life with purpose. Yeah. What I do, what I work, it has to be with purpose.
And you want to love, you got to love what you do, and that's what brings the passion. That's what keeps you going.
And even if you're scared, like you said earlier, do it anyway.
Do it anyway.
Because I've been really scared to do a lot of things, and I've forced myself to show up. Yeah. And I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm scared to death.
So you're just going to go.
But I'm going for it.
Yeah.
And
me too. It happens to me all the time. All this stuff that I'm doing is new, so it's like, wait, I can't do it. Yeah, man, you can do it. Just go.
You just go, and opportunity will rise to meet you. And you're not going to have it all figured out. I still don't have it all figured out.
No, we don't. We don't know what's to come.
But if you have that that passion to keep learning and that drive to keep moving, everything will align.
It's powerful. That alone is super powerful. So you started the workshops, it grabbed traction, and then from there?
So I started the workshop, grabbed traction. I said, okay, well, I can make money out of this. So I started first doing the workshops for free, and then they started to get a little bit more technical, bigger. And so what I would do is, I'd send the packages to the student.
You saw an opportunity to start making money from what you're doing.
Make some money, because at some point I was like, well, now I got to bring money in, right?
So for a workshop a workshop is teaching people about plants, how to plant them, how to take care of them, right? For you guys that don't know 100% what that is. And then you would send them the supplies they needed to do the workshop on a scheduled date.
Correct.
Right?
From the comfort of their home.
Which that jumps into your background of packaging stuff, learning about all that. And so you would package up what? What would you package up for the workshop? What's
so for example, a typical workshop was a cloche. Do you know what a cloche or cloche? Depends where you're from. Tomato. It's this little green little glass clear terrarium looking thing. It has a base, and then there's plants inside of it, so it's like a little ecosystem, a terrarium.
Okay, yeah, I've seen it. It's like the rose from Beauty and the Beast.
From Beauty and the Beast. There you go. That exactly there.
I have kids, guys, so I know about all that stuff.
You know. So that right there. So I'd send them everything, the cloche, what's going inside, everything, down to the scissors, the pen, everything. Whatever they need.
Okay.
So you pay your fee, and your fee includes all your supplies and your class.
And this is still up right now. But you're doing something. Not to cut you off, but you're still doing. So you guys can jump on her website, and if you want to join a workshop, you are more than welcome to. She does them. Okay.
Absolutely. So that's how it started, and then I was generating income. And so I thought to myself, man, I do not have to go back to work for someone else when I'm figuring this out from the comfort of my home, and I've never been able to spend so much time with my children the way I'm doing now. And that for me was golden.
No, you figured out something to do to keep your mind occupied and something positive that you love with the kids at home with COVID. With the whole COVID thing going on.
So I was like, how can this be, Lord? How am I living this life that I always wanted, spending more time with my kids, doing what I love? That old mentality way of working no longer applies. Like, this is a new world. It's a new age. And the way, you make your income is up to you. If you provide a good service, you can do anything you want.
You can do anything you want. And if you love it, it makes it that much easier.
That's icing on the cake.
And it's crazy. You never thought when your boss called you, right, that you would have been doing that and have been super happy and loved it.
And that first year was incredible. I was on several magazines. I was on some shows.
That's crazy. All this from IG.
All this from Instagram.
Guys, you have to, if you have a vision or you have something you want to do, you have to try it. You have to go. Even if you're working for somebody, like she was working for multiple people doing different things, helping them out. She learned and she just took her time, right? Because you got to make time for it. Make time and do it. Do what you love, because it's not work at the end of the day. And that's what keeps you passionate and driven to keep going in the avenue that you love so much, because it's not really work, right? You have moments that are work, right? Stuff maybe you don't want to do, but you show up and you do it anyway. But overall, like, it's not work. Like, this is not work. Like, I love talking to people. I love this industry. So for me, it's like, this is not work. Like, I'm having fun right now. But so let's keep going. Sorry to cut you off.
And it's true. It's true. Everything you're saying, absolutely true. So, so then people started reaching out. I had Fairchild Botanical Garden reach out, and they're like,
which is a garden.
It's a huge botanical garden in Miami. It's been there forever, and it's super nostalgic to me.
My kids. They have a bunch of different exotic plants. Designers, key designers back in the 80s and the 70s. They designed it, so they got the head designers from, I think they were from here, right?
Yeah,
from
and
Miami.
Botanists from everywhere.
And they brought plants in, exotic plants from all over the place. Like, that was when that was being built. I know a little bit of the backstory, not 100%, but I've heard it. That was like a big thing. That was like a huge thing. And you can take your kids and or your family, you can go by yourself, right? And you can go walk it, and it's beautiful. If you're into plants, that might be a nice spot to stop and check them out in Miami.
So the creative director reaches out to me, and I'm like, what? Fairchild?
Who are you? Yeah.
You sure you got the right number? But they were like, no, we really love what you're doing. And so to me, like I said, Fairchild was so nostalgic growing up, right? Like going there and stuff. Younger. So I was like, man, now I'm teaching here.
Crazy.
And so I taught there some classes. Of course, I couldn't continue, because my business started growing more. So I had to pull away from there. But then
you had the opportunity.
But I had the opportunity.
That's amazing, yeah.
And then other places would reach out, nurseries, like Flamingo Garden, different places were like, we want you to come teach here.
Wow.
So then I started myself approaching businesses and saying, okay, this is the platform, this is what I do, this is how I can promote your business, and this is how we can help each other. Awesome. And so I did that for a while, and then started doing my green walls, my living walls, and then my partner approaches me and asked me to open a landscape division. And I was like, what? No. I was like, no. I'm already tapped out. I don't have time. That's not something I want to do. And so he's like, but you're good at it. I'm the muscles. You're the designer. And I'm like, okay, let's try one. So then a friend reached out, and she was like, I want you to do our front, a Zen garden in the front. So I did some renderings with my background that I can do, my 3D renderings. And so I sent them to her, and she fell in love with one of them, and that was our first job. And I remember how hard it was.
When was this? This was recent.
My business is only about a year and a half.
Okay. All this happened in a year and a
half. So all of this has happened.
She's on a roller coaster, guys.
I don't even know anymore. I'm like, pinch me, I'm in a dream. But so I did it, and I said, okay, I'm gonna do. How hard could it be, right? It's a few plants there. We're just gonna take them out.
You have the background. You've done living walls.
Yeah, I'm like, I could do this or whatever. So we did it together, and I died like 5 times that day. Man, installing landscape is so hard. Yeah. I quit on my partner like 10 times that day. I'm like, I'm never doing this again, doing this again. The next day, I was like, I'm done. I'm going to finish. I'm going to lay down the rocks, and I'm done with this. I'm never looking back. And when it was finished, and I looked at it from the beginning to the end, the reward, it was so rewarding. And I was like, man, I did this. Yeah. And it just empowered me more. Not that I wanted to go back to do the installation. So I was like, we're going to regroup, and we're going to talk about this. No, but you guys saw
it teaches you so much, actually, going out there and doing something, even though you're not a pro at it, you can't be scared. You have to go and try it. You have to go do it because you did it. It gave you that confidence. Hey, we can do this. You know, we can actually make a business. You got a business partner involved because, guys, if you're tied up for time, you know, you can't do it all. That's how I used to be. I used to think I was the guy that I had to do it all because if I didn't do it, it wouldn't have come out perfect,
to your
right?
standards, yeah.
But in reality, there's no way you can be 100% at everything that you're trying to do because you don't have, you know, 1,000%.
The
We only have
bandwidth.
100,
There's no
right?
bandwidth there when you're just
So
by yourself.
by getting a partner, it lets you dive into other things. So partners, because I know some people don't like partners, but if you get the right partner and you guys have the same vision, anything can happen.
Mm-hmm. And you need that support. You
need it.
You need that when you're having a bad day. They kind of encourage you, and vice versa.
Of course.
So we got done through that project. I look back, and the word that I use is grit.
Okay.
I learned how much grit I had that day,
Okay.
and I was like, man, I'm tough as nails, and
Yeah,
I did
right.
this. I hated it all the whole way through, but the final product, I was like, this
Yeah,
is
it came out good.
beautiful.
So at that point, you're like, all right, I can sell jobs, I can
I
design
can
jobs,
design
but
them,
not install
but I'm
them.
not installing
Yeah.
them. So, you know, me and my partner had that conversation, and he understands, you know, he understands that I'm already stretched out
yeah,
and
you're
doing
doing a bunch of
everything
stuff.
else. But I'm glad I did the install with him because, like you said, now I know all the different workings and like how much time
learn.
this project will take,
You
how
have to
much
start
labor I
if
need.
you like for you guys and for you that have, you know, business, you're dabbling into something new or whatever it is, you want to start from the bottom. You want to learn the whole process because as the time goes on, you have employees. You can show up and know if they're slacking, know what they're doing, know if it's being done correctly, right? Because you learn the process and it just you have to go through that.
Exactly.
You have to start from the bottom.
You have to. You have to crawl before you walk, I
You
always
have
say.
to. You have to. And it
You
makes
know?
you, it gives you that knowledge, that backbone, and that confidence, that courage. That's what it does.
And so, yeah, so that's where we're at. So, I mean, it's been, I looked back, I'm very into doing vision boards. So every year, I haven't done mine this year, but every year for the last 3 years, I've been doing them in the beginning of the year. And I'm just like, I do believe in like the laws of attraction, like you attract like your
energy,
attitude,
positive
like we
energy,
talked about
yeah.
earlier. If you're positive, you're gonna attract positive people. If you're always walking around with your head down and moping, like what are you gonna attract?
Of course.
So I just kept myself busy all year, and people would just approach me, and it's been a really, really fun ride. We're still evolving. We're still thinking of other ways to reinvent the plant world, what service we could provide, how we're different, what makes us unique. Our company, and it's not just a landscape company. Our company is a green design firm. So we work with all things green, all things natural. And the mission our mission is to connect people with nature, to bring wellness into your space, and also to encourage people, especially the younger audience,
Yes.
that don't be afraid, like go for it. Get your hands dirty. Plants are easier to take care of than a lot of us
No,
think.
they're forgivable, and you learn how to you know, maintain them, how to grow them, whatever it is that you're trying to get into. Even like landscapers, maintenance, you learn. And you are someone that's just bringing out, you know, giving that content to the world so they can learn.
Yeah.
Because there's not a whole lot of content out there. There are people that, you know, that have stuff going on, but the more people that do it, it's more chances of people, you know, learning more.
Yeah, and there's, like you said, there's a lot of content being created out there. There's a lot of eye candy. Visually, you see it. I've styled this plant. It's beautiful,
but
and
how'd you
things
do
like
it?
that. But how did you do it? How do you take care of this plant? Not all plants
How's
are
it
created
so shiny?
equal.
How's it so pretty?
Yeah, you know, this container requires these plants because all of these plants can cohabitate together. You can't just throw all these plants together. Like I work with a lot of other designers that will hire me to do living green walls for their clients or container gardens or whatever, and they're like, we've picked all these plants for you and we think they look good because they're looking at it aesthetically, and I'm like, no,
that doesn't work together.
that doesn't work like that. First of all, you need to know how to care for this plant requires this and this plant requires that,
They can't be
therefore they
together.
cannot live together in the same
If it's
container.
sun or shade or water or whatever it is.
So all of those things, read your care tags when you buy your plants. Those things are really helpful. But things like that, I'm answering questions all day long, a lot of inquiries that come in. And I love it because, you know, I learn from them as well. Like a lot of our viewers teach me stuff too. And I'm like, man, and I use them later on. So I love to feed off people. Love it.
Yeah, you learn so much. I love talking to people, and it broadens everything. So tell me about also, because I went and checked you out on your website. You have like a subscription box that you do candles with little succulents and stuff like that as well. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I've been really lucky to have certain people come into my life and mentor me. And I remember way back when I used to work for a big landscaping company before I went to work for this grower, but just as like administrative stuff. I had nothing to do with the landscape part, but he just so happened to own the landscape company. He used to always tell me, never put your eggs all in one basket, never put your eggs all in one basket. And it wasn't until later
Smart
on.
man.
Very smart man. I'm so grateful for you, if you're watching. And so I said, what does that mean? What
We'll
does
tag
that
him.
mean?
We'll tag him.
Yeah, we'll tag you. I don't think he has Instagram, but
We'll tag him on Facebook.
what
For
does
sure
that
he has
mean?
Facebook.
What does that mean? And it wasn't until I was older that I was like, I get what he's saying. Never put your eggs in one basket. So for me, I think the smart thing to do is not to put all my eggs in one basket, and I like to have different revenues of income.
Oh, yes.
So going into this whole pandemic thing, I was like, well, I know I want to build a brand eventually. Once I decided I wanted to start my business, what is
Plant
the
Me Rosey.
long-term plan? The plan is I want to build a brand. I want to become a household name where you turn on the TV and you see Plant Me Rosey and instantly you know that we're the green people, right? We're the designers of green. But I wanted to build this brand, and I wanted it to be a wellness line that was plant-based, that was natural, that was produced by us, handmade locally, which was really important to me, that everything was
Local.
sourced locally and handmade and everything locally. So I started the box subscription, which kind of flourished from the workshop.
Okay.
Because the workshop,
Yeah, 'cause you were already
I was doing the
packaging stuff and
packaging
sending
and
it.
stuff, and I was sending it.
No, and that's a huge. So plants and boxes, guys, is a massive industry that has been here for a while, but has completely blown up huge ever since the pandemic.
Absolutely, people were stuck at home, and they're like, I need plants. I
want some
need
plants.
something to keep
You're
me
in New
busy.
York, it's freezing outside. You have your interior nice and warm with all your little plants.
With all your little plants. So I was like, okay, so the first subscription box, which was our prototype, I remember, was like just too many things. And it wasn't cohesive, and it was just like a flea market in a box.
There's so much thought process that goes into it. Like the boxes, do you have your imprint on it and everything? Like, think about that, guys. There's so much. When you dive into a business plan or you dive into new ideas, right? There's so much that goes into it, and that's why you need to be passionate and love what you do, because there's no way that if you hate what you're doing, you will do it and you will execute it properly. Think about all of the stuff that she's doing at that time, and now having to create a box and what am I going to put in it and my name on it and all. Like, there's so much that goes into it, the colors and this. Like, you got to be so creative and you got to love it and be passionate about it to execute it properly.
Yeah, because you're going to have your days that you're not motivated. You're going to have your days
motivated.
like, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
But if you're passionate about it, if you love what you do, you know that this too shall pass, and tomorrow's,
A
a
new
better
day.
day, a new day.
Of course.
So I started doing the subscription boxes again. At that time, it was workshops and subscription boxes, workshops and subscription boxes. And I was like, well, what do I put in this box? So in the beginning, a lot of my customers were buying the boxes for first responders, for like nurses and stuff.
Wow, that was
and
very
that
nice.
was really, really
That's
nice.
very
And I
nice.
was like, it's a wellness box.
Yeah.
It's a self-care box, right? So I was like, if I was that person receiving this box and I want like a little bit of time for myself, and I know I'm going to open this box and it's going to be for me to enjoy, just for me, what do I want to see in it? So that's where the candle, and it was
did a
important
candle.
that it stayed being a soy candle because it's a natural product made from plant.
And I saw there was like an orange in it and
And there's
stuff.
oranges in it, there's florals in it, just so that when you open that candle, it's not like every other generic
very
candle.
creative.
It's handmade, it's the little details, so that every little detail the client sees and they really appreciate it. And then there's sage. There's always going to be sage in our boxes. I burn a lot of sage.
Sage is like an incense. Right?
Sage is like an incense, but sage has
But it's
dual
natural.
benefits.
Yeah.
It's natural for one. It cleans the toxin in the air. So of course during the pandemic, I was saging the whole house. Nobody got sick. Nobody got sick for 2 years. Okay, and they were like, so
That's hilarious.
when like my husband's American.
You go out with sage, like like a holster with the sage burning. You walk
Sage
around.
When I first used to do it, my husband was like, don't be bringing, he's American, so he's like, don't be bringing that brujeria in my house or whatever. And I'm like, what are you talking about? So I had to teach them, like, this has been around, ancient, like, this has been around for thousands of, like, years,
And what is
forever.
it? Sage is what, like cut, like
So
dried plants or
sage
something?
is a plant, and it's rolled, hand rolled, and then it's burned, and it's got dual purpose. It cleans all the toxins in the air, so it actually does have a benefit to it, and then it also has its spiritual side. So back in the Egyptians and Native American Indians were burning sage to ward off bad energy, bad spirits.
Does it smell good?
It depends.
It depends.
Because for me, I'm okay with the smell. My husband hates it. My husband absolutely hates it.
And once you told him about the Egyptians
But
and all that
and then
stuff,
he
he's
was
like,
like-
get it out of here.
He was like, still like, oh no, for real, get it out of here.
Yeah,
and I was
hilarious.
like, no. So he's okay with it now.
So now
You
you
have to
have,
accept it.
so you have the candle, the sage.
So your box will come with a handmade candle, a handmade hand-rolled sage sticks. We have the bath soaks, which are also handmade. So the idea is you receive this beautiful package and you just open it up, you light your candle, you burn your sage, you set your warm bath, you put your bath soak in it and your bath bomb that comes with it. Sometimes it depends on the box you buy. You'll have a little dried flower arrangement in it. And the reason I added dried flowers, because who doesn't like to receive flowers? But during the pandemic, the cut flower industry really suffered. And they were having problems with importing, exporting.
They probably still do.
Yes, absolutely. So I thought, so the dried flower trend started to become big, that you can still have this natural bouquet and it's preserved and it will stay like that forever. So I would include that, and then if it was like a guy, I do like the sage stick, something more masculine. But the box always will have a candle and the sage stick, like that's the bread and butter.
No, but it's so much, like for me, I'm listening to you and I just see like all of the thought process. Like you actually thought like, okay, this person's gonna sit down at their table, they're gonna open it up,
They're
and
gonna
this is
smell
to
it
indulge
instantly.
in themselves and take a minute away from life and all the craziness that goes on through life and just enjoy this for a moment. You know, it's
And
very
everything's
creative.
handmade, down to the label we put on there is hand stamped. Everything is handmade. And again, there's something just extra special to me of something that's handmade versus like mass
No,
production.
you can tell the quality,
You know,
everything. Yeah.
you can tell. So that was really important. And down to the box. The box had to be a cardboard box, a natural box, natural stickers, natural ink. You know, no
you
dyes.
took it to that extent.
To that extent, and it's still very much the original box it was.
That's a great gift for Christmas, guys. Birthdays, Valentine's Day. Maybe I get one for my wife
Mother's
for Valentine's Day, Mother's
We'll
Day.
send them to moms
Very
everywhere.
creative, very awesome. I love it. I love all the things you're doing. It's amazing. Guys,
What else you need?
We're not done. Guys, we're not done. Hold on. We still got more. I saw on IG that you do flower arrangements.
I do floral arrangements on a larger scale. So we do
Okay.
event design
Okay.
on a larger scale. We don't do what they call day flowers, like everyday flowers, like you order an arrangement for
Okay.
me, one arrangement for the day. We don't do that just because there's no time.
Okay.
So we do larger scale events, weddings, large corporate events that
And
they
that
need.
you do with a florist. You
Well,
have a team, like
I
someone
have
that
a
helps you
team.
out.
So I have my team of florists. I'm the lead creative designer, so I oversee everything. But we have our florists. We have, the gentleman that helps me with we do like the green backdrops.
Okay.
So we have a gentleman that helps me with that. My partner Tony is like the muscles, the builder, the logistics guy. So I have my team, my small team, but lean and mean.
Yeah, but that's all. And you also do interior stuff. Like if someone wanted, plants in pots inside, real nice and pretty, you can take care of everything and design something real nice. Do the living wall, do the front landscaping. You can do the event.
And
You
hang
can
a
bring
wreath
some
on my door
sage.
at the end.
Yeah.
Yes. So it's a complete
Crazy.
service. We come in and, again, bringing wellness to your space. We take a raw space and we
Light it
dress
up.
it up. We light it up. And
You bring that
it's-
Plant Me Rosey flavor.
And I'd like to believe that we are enriching people's lives doing this
course.
because the reaction that I see on my clients' faces and their kids and stuff afterwards is priceless. And I'm like, I know we're doing a good thing.
No, plants in general are beautiful, and they do bring that happiness. They do. You walk into a place that has nothing in the corners and it's whatever, and then you walk into, let's say, a hotel with beautiful plants. You're like, inside in the lobby, you're like, wow, this is amazing. It looks beautiful. I love this
Absolutely.
place. And you just walked in. You don't
And
know
you
anything
just-
about
you
it.
don't know
But
anything.
you just see the plants, and it just looks good. So tell us, from in the past year and a half, which is ridiculous that all this has happened in a year and a half. Kudos to you that you're
Thank you.
still alive.
Thank you.
And you're a mother of what, 3?
4.
4. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And a wife and everything.
Yeah.
It has gotten you now on television. So
Yeah.
tell us about that. Guys, this is crazy. This is real. This is not a lie. So now you have jumped on TV. Tell us about that.
So I'm the plant guru on Univision.
Univision is a Spanish
Univision is a
channel.
local Spanish channel. And so I'm like their plant guru. So I go
That's
on there.
crazy.
The same thing I do to the workshop. I'll teach you really quick how to. My segments are DIY.
Okay.
So how do you DIY with plants with green? So I'll do a wreath for your door, maybe a crown for your head, or maybe a frame with green on it. But it's so fun, and you get 1 minute. Your segment's
Okay.
1 minute,
Okay.
and
Well,
I've
it's
had
1
to.
minute. That's
it's
awesome.
1 minute. It's like, okay, this is my go, and it's not. Yeah.
Univision
it's,
is national?
It's nice. So, the only challenge I had in the beginning was I speak Spanglish, and it's a Spanish channel.
Nah, but look, people, if you're from Miami, like me, you guys hear me here talking English, but in reality, I talk a mix of English and Spanish if the person I'm talking to
It's
is
a
English
thing
and Spanish.
now.
Well, that's how I've been my whole life, right? I jump in
too.
the same sentence, I'll mix it up, English and Spanish. But
Be like, what's up, mi gente?
but people know. Look, if you lived in Miami for a period of time, you get it.
know.
The Spanish community, they know the slang
They
words,
know.
especially living here in Miami.
So, I'd go on there and say like the craziest things, but the audience loved it. So like,
Yeah. That's you. At the end of the day, you can't be
was
someone
like,
you're not.
esa muchacha, that girl that like you don't understand what she's saying really, but we love watching her.
Yeah, it's
And
pleasant. The
it's
plants and
nice.
everything on there.
So the reporter, I always tell her like, you sure about this? Like,
Yeah.
like the things that I say, the things that come in, they're like, no,
Just
that's
do
what
it.
the audience loves about you. You don't care. You're teaching them. You're fun to watch. And she actually told me that Spanglish, there's actually an audience for that. And she's on a show that she's only allowed to talk Spanglish.
What?
So I was like, what?
That's a thing?
We're starting our own dialect.
Yeah, or is that Miami is starting
Miami.
our own dialect.
So I just go with it, like I used to be a very shy person when I was younger, believe it or not. And I was really insecure when I was a little kid, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just afraid to talk. And then at some point, I guess with life and experience or whatever, just
You go growing.
you grow and you become yourself, and
Mm-hmm.
and that's who I am today, and it's who I want to be, and I just go with it. I don't overthink things anymore.
Do you have anything to say to the audience, someone that might be interested in touching any of the things that you do or learning about it, or would you have anything to say to them to give them some fire?
Yes, if you are watching me now and you're thinking of going into any business, doesn't necessarily have to be a plant business. If you're a female, if you're going into an industry that's maybe male dominant, like I am, my
Yes.
industry's there's
Male
just more
dominant.
males than females. Do it, and don't be scared, and you will figure it out. Ask a lot of questions, even if they're dumb questions. Ask, be eager, be hungry. Constantly learning, never get complacent, because life is ever evolving and changing. So I would say just go for it. You're not going to have all the answers. Little by little, you're going to see how things just start to make sense. And then if you want, like what I do is I journal a lot. So I write down, whatever daily or every other day, whatever I can. So that a year from now, I look back and I'm like, man, a lot. It's a record of all the things you have done, and it's going to be really encouraging, because you're going to look at it and you're going to be like, this
See
is
the
something tangible. Like, I've done this, and here's the growth. Don't be afraid. And even if you're afraid, like I said, do it anyway. Do it
you
anyway.
never know what can happen.
You never know what can happen. Trust yourself and trust life, and and don't wait. Don't sit back and wait for somebody to bring you opportunity. You
Make
have
it
to go
happen.
out there and get it and make it happen.
Yeah.
Make it happen.
And if you're not happy with what you do, jump into what you love to do, because that'll keep you
And do that,
growing.
because
within it.
that's your true purpose. That's your divine purpose. Like, you were given this gift, whatever it is, whatever your talent is, you were given that for a reason. You were chosen for a reason.
Of course.
So use it. Don't waste your time in life working for, if you want to truly work for yourself, or you want something for yourself, making someone else richer, making someone else, more, do it for yourself.
Do it for yourself.
Invest in yourself. You
Of
know what I
course.
mean? And then perfect your craft.
Yeah.
You got to take classes. You got to keep
Learn.
growing and
Read
learning.
books, do whatever you
Read
gotta do.
books, classes,
Go to
whatever.
seminars, go to conventions.
seminars.
Which, before we finish, you are on the board of FNGLA.
So I'm on the committee of
The committee.
FNGLA
Okay.
as one of the creatives, and I'm really excited and grateful to be on that panel because it's a group of amazing people that I've learned so much from in the same industry, all different walks of life, and yeah, so that's a good platform to maybe be a part of, that FNGLA community where you can learn a lot from, go to those trade
And
shows.
you did a workshop at a trade show in person with 100 people.
Yeah, so last week I taught how to build green walls, how to install them and maintain them. And yeah, so
It's crazy. What did you think in 2019 that you would have been where you are today with, with this
never.
the journal? Your journal's how thick now? Now it's got to be
No, so
faster.
now
You're
they're
writing
like
faster.
they're really thick, and I file them. I'm old school. I love pen and paper still,
Yeah.
and I love opening a book and reading the pages and like flipping the pages. I don't do audio or stuff like that. That's just how I am, and I love it. And I look back and I look at it, and now I file them. So now something's happening because I'm actually adding to the library.
No, but that's amazing.
I mark them by the year, the month, or whatever.
It's amazing to think that you were there in 2019 and now you are where you are in such short amount of time is so empowering. Guys, you can go and do whatever it is that you want to do in your life, right? And like she said, don't wait. You have to just go with it.
The time is now.
Go with it and be creative and have fun doing whatever it is that you're trying to do in whatever it is. And one thing I love about what you're doing is you have Plant Me Rosey and all these streams under Plant Me Rosey, right? Which is the way it's supposed to be. You're focusing on one thing, pushing one thing, which is Plant Me Rosey from this avenue, this avenue, this avenue. So you have so many opportunities for someone to jump in, like I've said before on previous podcasts, and use all of your services, right? And it's just amazing. You want to stick to that one industry, that one niche, and grow as big as you can in that one niche, in that one industry, because you need time to do this.
It's true, and it's never too late. I also want to say, if you're watching this, never too late. Whatever age you are,
you can be a parent with 4 kids, and you can be on a mission.
Anything you want. I remember when I was younger, I wanted to be an actress, and I would go to all my workshops. I'd go to all these auditions. I was on American Idol. I wanted to be a singer. I was on Making the Band, Who Wants to Be a Rock Star, you name it. I was there trying to make it big. That wasn't my destiny. That wasn't what was supposed to happen for me. And I was like, but I'm so good, and I'm worked so hard, or whatever. It wasn't my time. When I let that finally go, and I just kind of aligned with the universe or whatever, I accepted that whatever's meant for me will find its way. I got to go look for it. Don't just sit back, but it will find its way. Once that I let go of that, man, just things started to align. And now I'm 41 years old, and never did I think that all this would start, at TV.
At 39.
At 39, and here I am. So
That's
I'm like,
crazy.
you know what? It's never too late to do whatever you want to do. As long as the heart's still pumping and the body's still moving, go for it.
Then you just have to go. And you being like a mother and a wife and all this stuff, and doing that and going to trade shows far away and spending the night, and your husband's got to take care of the kids. There's a lot that goes into it, but it can be done.
It can be
just
done.
Gotta schedule
if you have
yourself.
a good support system, it can be done. So surround yourself around like-minded people. Don't think you're going to be successful if you're hanging around with people that aren't doing anything positive. No, get yourself
focused.
You should never be the smartest person in the room.
Never.
You should never be the smartest person in the room.
Never.
That's when you're going to learn, you're going to absorb, you're going to be a sponge and take something from it. If you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
You're in the wrong room, definitely.
You're in the wrong room.
That's like basketball. If you want to learn how to play basketball better, you got to play with people that are better than you. So you can learn.
Yeah.
Same concept.
Yeah.
How can people get a hold of you for any of your services, and where can they find out where are your what's all the stuff that you do aside from us just talking about it?
So our website is our go-to. It'll have everything. Our shop's on there if you want to buy our wellness product. All our information's on there, but that's just www.plantmerosey.com. If you want to send us an email, info@plantmerosey.com. If it's an inquiry about a plant, just Instagram. That's the quickest way to get a hold of me or my partner.
Plant Me Rosey on IG.
Plant Me Rosey on IG, and then just ask whatever questions. Do not be afraid to ask any question. I've had them all. I've had any question out there. Please ask me, because I want you to learn. I want you to be successful, and the only way is if you ask.
Oh, you're on YouTube?
I have a few videos on YouTube. I used to, when I went to to work for this cut flower person for a year, I met this other incredible company that I would do some content creating for them. So you'll find me under them doing a lot of like promotions for them. I would love to be on YouTube, but that's just something else to manage, and I'm already like so tapped out.
You gotta get Univision to give you a YouTube channel. Univision, where you at?
Univision, are you watching?
We're gonna tag you guys. Univision, if they want to see the work that you've done on Univision on TV, where can they see that?
Univision has a Facebook page that everything's on there. All of their old posts are on there.
Univision. All right?
Univision.
For the ones that don't speak Spanish.
For those.
That's how it's pronounced in English. This episode was it's a great episode. It shows so much. Thank you so much for coming on. If you guys before we jump into the end, where do you do landscaping out of?
So I mostly service the Miami-Dade and Broward County area. But let's talk about it. If it's a big enough job, I'll fly. I'll fly to you.
Guys, whatever you need from Plant Me Rosey, you already know how to message her direct. You can send her a DM through IG, Plant Me Rosey, all right? This woman is a monster, a powerhouse.
This guy.
No. It's incredible. It's incredible. I've learned so much. Very inspiring. I hope you guys did too. You took something from it. Very, very blessed and honored to have you here with us today. And if you guys need any of our services, you already know what you got to do. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you, Willie.
Truly amazing.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And guys, you already know, stay tuned for the next one because it's going to be fire. All right. Thank you all for watching on YouTube. Thank you all for listening on all of the streams, the podcast streams. We truly, greatly appreciate it. And we're going to keep on bringing you guys content that is relevant to our real, life, right? Things we deal with every day, industry-based. If your industry touches this industry in any way, which there's so many industries that touch the plant world, this is for you guys, and we love you, and God bless you guys. All right? Stay tuned. Love you guys.